And we got to talk about Tyson Fury and what is going on. You know it's coming, Frank. I can see your face already. We've sort of touched on it a little bit. The whole situation with Tyson Fury, in a way, has infuriated a lot of fans, in the sense of what's happening with him. When are we next seeing him in the ring? Is he going to fight this person? Is he going to fight that person? Where are we at with everything with him?
Well, we'll be announcing something soon. He is fighting. He's going to fight. As I say, we'll be announcing that in the next week or so. It's more or less a done deal. Don't ask me who, because I'm not going to go down that road or where or when. But he will fight. In the meantime, you know, the narrative was controlled at the time by Usyk. A lot of people bought into I'm repeating what I said earlier. You know, that fight, we were desperate to get it on, but it was all going to be going on in Saudi. They asked us to pull Tyson out of his fight last December so they could put it on in February. Had we done that, Tyson would have had a fight, because then they were talking about doing it on April 29th. That got postponed, and then they're talking about doing it at the end of the year. And then last week they were talking about maybe moving that date now to the January 24. The reason Usyk wants to fight there, because as you heard what Joe said, they get paid far, far more money than we would get from a gate here, or an event doing it here, because they'll pay a premium to put the event on. Tyson wanted to get the fight on. We made various moves to try and make that happen, and it just didn't happen. It was nothing to do with Tyson. It was the fact. The truth of the matter is, the bottom line is that Usyk wants to walk away with what he feels he's going to get $75 million to do the fight in December or early next year. And I get that and understand it, but that wasn't Tyson's fault. Tyson was willing to take less money to make the fight here.
But does the timeline now work for you with Tyson Fury then?
Yeah,
that's the key, isn't it?
We're not being dictated to anybody what's going to happen. If we'd have been sitting around waiting, which has been happening, and that's not the Saudis, that's not Skill Challenge's fault, because they've made it very clear that they can't put any fights on till late December, now pushing it back again. They made that very clear. What is clear is that the other fighters don't want to jeopardise a big payday by fighting in the interim. It's the same thing that's going on at the moment with AJ. He doesn't want to fight. Why is he not fighting Dillian Whyte? Why didn't he fight Tyson Fury for 60-40? All those reasons are because he didn't want to jeopardise a big payday that he's supposed to be getting if he fights Deontay Wilder. That is the truth of the matter. In the meantime, Tyson was willing to fight them both here at Wembley. We had the dates booked, everything, dates penciled in, everything for it, but they were not interested. And that's the truth of the matter.
As you can imagine, we're getting reaction on social media and everywhere, and of course, it's whether you care for it or not. But for example, Matthew Gould here has said about Tyson Fury, the most inactive champion ever. Can't be bothered to hear anything about him, for example. Now, Tyson Fury does take to social media. He does put out videos telling us this potentially is going to happen. Something is happening on the horizon. Does that, in a way, make your job more difficult, because you're having to deal with these videos that sometimes don't lead to anything?
When did Usyk last fight?
Last August, wasn't it?
Well, Tyson's been more active than him.
Yeah, but I think
that's wrong to start. We had 2 fights last year, and he would have fought again if Saudi Arabia delivered, if Skills Challenge said what they were trying to do.
Come on, Frank. Come on.
What you talking about? He would have fought in April 29th.
Yeah, I understand
that's
that,
what we were told.
We're going to compare the fighting criteria. Usyk's fought Joshua, and your boys fought Derek Chisora.
No, he fought his mandatory at Wembley. He fought his mandatory away. And the reason he fought Derek Chisora is because Usyk was not ready to fight.
Yeah, I understand that, but you're comparing records, so I'm pulling up
on
the
comparison.
comparison. You're saying it's been more active.
I'm answering the question. No, I'm answering the question about activity. You said he was inactive. He's not been inactive. He's been fighting. And he would have fought more this year had the fights that was proposed been put through. If he hadn't have fought Chisora or anybody in December, he would have been inactive, waiting for this fight to happen until the first quarter of 2024. So please do me a favour.
But surely there's only 2 fights for Tyson Fury at this stage in his career. It's a Joshua fight and it's a Usyk fight. Those are the 2 fights that the world wants to see. But those are the 2 fights the world wants to see. Is that fair?
I don't know. I think the world would watch a fight against Joe Joyce or Xing Zhang. I think when Daniel Dubois knocks over Usyk, they'll watch that.
If he beats Usyk, and I think people will want to see Fury and Dubois, and that's what happened. But I think those are the two big fights.
But we can't sit around waiting for something to happen. We've got to do the best we can under the circumstances, and we've got to make the right moves that we feel are the right things to do. And as I just said, there's no. You talk about inactivity. There's another guy is pretty much been inactive. Is Joshua, and he didn't want the fight. We offered Joshua the fight. 60-40, he didn't want it.
Yeah,
but it's not ducking people. You're making it like he's ducking
Frank,
people.
But, you know,
last December, you mean?
But that's an unfair comparison, Frank, because
you
you offered him a fight.
No, he was offered it in December.
Yeah, I know. He's just come off the back of a meaningful set of fights against Usyk. If it was the other way around, you wouldn't have suggested for Joshua to take that fight.
He was offered it a couple of months ago. He's not coming off of a win.
Okay,
that's
fine.
Not okay, it's true.
But there's a background narrative that's built up, and it's been allowed to build up by Tyson. There's lots of noise, and you don't like it, and you get all defensive about it, right? A lot of noise. Right? He's a WBC champion of the world. We listened to him last year about he wasn't going to fight. He fannied about saying he wasn't going to fight. Didn't pay his £1 million bet to Piers Morgan when he did fight, right? And we've got a WBC champion here that seems to be given latitude by the WBC, which is, because he's such a meaningful champion, he doesn't have to fight until he feels like it. I mean, it doesn't look, it's not a great look, is it?
Well, hang on a minute. It's just over a year ago that he had his mandatory.
Right.
Okay. So his mandatory's not due yet. It's not latitude.
How long? So he can have a mandatory every 18 months, can he?
It's unless it's called for, and it was called for, because what they said is that Deontay Wilder had to fight Ruiz, and the winner of that would be the mandatory. Mm-hmm. That was what they called for, and neither of those wanted to fight each other. So there's no mandatory. That's not Tyson Fury's fault.
Put aside mandatory then, for the purpose of this conversation. Insert meaningful then.
Well, we tried to make two meaningful fights. All year we've been trying to make two meaningful fights.
Why don't they want to fight Tyson Fury then?
I just told you, because they're waiting to get these big paydays in Saudi.
But no one's had a contract offer yet from Saudi. That's what's so weird about it.
There's nothing weird about it. What it is they are convinced that they will get these offers, and maybe they will. But they've said now that they may have to push it back until the first quarter of 2024. But they're waiting for that, and I get that and understand it. But don't keep saying that we're not trying to make fights or he's ducking people. We've made offers. You know, for just think it through. You're asking why they're not happening. We offer Joshua, who's had a fight now, we offered him that fight for September, and there's nothing wrong with it. He's incapable because he's training for a fight allegedly for August. We offer him the fight. You've got the 60-40. Don't worry about rematches and all that. You don't want him straight into it. That's where we go. And he hasn't taken it. Why hasn't he taken it? Because he wants the big payday in Saudi. So that's why.
We all concur with that.
Yeah, but
in the
meantime, you're saying
you've got Usyk in. Usyk's fighting, and he's trying to get a big payday in Saudi, isn't he?
He's not fighting. Who's he fighting?
He's fighting your boy.
Because he's ordered to fight him.
Right.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be fighting.
So at what point is Tyson Fury, as a WBC defending heavyweight champion that hasn't had a mandatory now for 17 months, at what point is someone going to step in and say, about time you fought someone of significance?
No, it's 14 months. But I get your point. Dillian was
April.
mandatory.
Hang on, we're in July tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right, so it's 17 months.
It's 14 months.
It's 15 months. It was in April.
15 months,
But hang on, you can only have a mandatory if you've got a mandatory challenger, and he hasn't got a mandatory challenger.
But they could have mandated Frank Sanchez, who's number 4, couldn't they?
Neither of them. Look, first of all, I'm not in the WBC business.
Yeah.
That's their choice to what they've done. They offered the number 1 and 2, and they were, up until a few weeks ago, I understand, still negotiating.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at, I suppose, as a fallback if this thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, but Wilder's waiting for Saudi money. It's George Warren, your son, told me this best. It's a blessing and a curse, and right now it's a curse.
But
the Saudi money on offer. It's a curse.
Fault.
It's not your fault. No one's saying it. Simon's not saying it's your fault.
But then ultimately,
but the people listening want to know a solution to this, and there isn't one at the moment.
And it's the fight fans who are being cheated, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Listen, why did all the golfers all walk away from the governing body at the time, the tournament, to form their own thing? Why did they do that? They did it for money, and now they've got together because money's called for it to happen. Why did that happen? And it's no different with the boxing. That's it. Why are a lot of footballers now going to Saudi Arabia to play in their
cashing
league
out.
for money. So what do you know?
No, it's not. It's not. We all know that, Frank. But I think people would actually prefer people to come out and actually say it. And so I tell you what, I'm not fighting. I'm only going to
I'll just fight at the end of the year.
I tell you
or
what I'm
whatever.
going to do. I'm going to stop
Yeah.
fanning about and misrepresenting. The only place I'm going to fight is Saudi because it's the only place I'm going to get paid.
Right.
And what we've got is Tyson, because Tyson, I believe, is the generational great, right? And I would like to see him make the fights that get made. And I understand that there was challenges in getting Joshua to get in a ring because he's the other financial express train, whether that's merited or not. But between Chisora and where we are today, what people have listened to is a lot of noise from Tyson, and people are beginning to get the impression, which you're trying to correct, that the reasons why deals don't happen is not. I don't think Tyson Fury is ducking people. I think he makes it difficult to do business with him.
Why?
Because I think he has an impression of what he should get from the fight, and he's not going to move from that.
So, okay.
And it's like listen to Carl Froch
so-
say to me, I'm going to fight Mikkel Kessler, but I tell you what, I'm going to do a deal because I'll fight a 50-50 because it makes it happen. I'm not sure your boy does that. I'm not sure he's particularly facilitatory in making sure an outcome happens.
Why did he publicly offered 60-40 to Joshua, who's coming off a loss, and reiterated that offer? So what do you think? Should we get 50-50?
No, not in that instance. But
That's
Joshua,
last December you're
but
talking
hang
about
on,
there,
Joshua's
isn't
not
it?
the only
That
game
was-
in town, is
Well,
he?
hang on a minute. You're just saying you just made a comment. You just said that he does that. Well, he didn't do it because Joshua offered 60-40.
I'll have to bow to your knowledge about offering him fights this year. But when he offers him 60-40 last year, nobody in their right mind that's managing Joshua would stick him in that fight. It was a Mickey take. You guys knew it. You're taking Joshua's
Mickey
pattern.
take?
It is because he wasn't ready, and your boy wouldn't have been ready either, and no one would have advocated for it. And you only wanted to
Our
fight him,
boy
and you
fought
made
on.
it 60-40.
What you talking about? Our boy was training to fight in November and fought in December. Of course, he was ready.
Your boy fought Dillian White in a one-sided beatdown 7 months before. Anthony Joshua's just come out of a psychologically damaging fight against someone that's now being
All right.
conceived
Well,
as
let's
one of the
say
best fighters
I don't
around.
agree with what you're
It's
saying.
not comparing
Sorry,
for
okay.
Frank, is it?
Right, let me just say that. Let's say I won't agree to it. Let's just say you're right about it. Saying since then he's come back and had a win. So why didn't he take the fight for 60-40 in September?
I can't answer that question because I'm
telling me
unaware
you're telling me
of that
that
offer
Tyson
going on.
don't put it on the line.
I
He's
know the
done
answer to that question because you know the answer to that
Yeah, I know
question.
the answer
Because they want
to
to
it.
fight in Saudi.
Well, that's what I'm
Right.
saying.
Okay,
I mean,
but
I've
in
said
the
that for
meantime,
time.
do you
you've got to
worry
row
though
your own
that-
boat, haven't you?
But do you worry that the public are losing love for Tyson Fury because
No, I
of
don't.
this?
I don't think that.
No, he'll
is.
fill an auditorium as soon as he gets back in it.
Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
he will.
Well, let's get him back
You
in.
say that,
let-
you say that, but some of the
No,
responses
look,
we're getting are not.
But you've got to remember,
are not happy with this
But
situation.
you've got hate. Everybody said, "Oh, you keep banging on about Chisora. 60,000 people bought tickets for a fight. The guy who by the one was the highest available contender in the
You can fool
WBC.
some people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people
What
all
am I
the
trying
time.
to fool?
I would have paid Joyce to step aside, put Zhilei Zhang in with Tyson Fury, and made that fight. And you don't like that conversation, but that's what I would have done.
No.
And then
Joe
you've got
Joyce.
Fury in.
No, Joe. It's not about I don't like. I have no problem. Joe Joyce wanted the fight. We tried to make the Zhang fight. You just had him in there. You should have put that to him and asked him. And
I
he
put it to
said-
you because you're the promoter.
Well, I can't. No, he's the guy who has the opportunity to decide whether he wants to call for the rematch, and that's what he did.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.